Just a quick message from me before we start today. The video that you are about to watch is actually from last week. I was feeling under the weather and was never able to throw my voice to be my characters. So this video is the video from last week. I'm going to try for either Friday or Saturday to release this week's video. That being said, I hope you enjoy.
Hello and welcome back to the Mystery Emporium. If you're new here, well, I'm going to read you a story. My stories are here to hopefully shock and awe you, or just fill you with terror. So sit back, get comfy, grab your favorite snack, and enjoy. Exterminate. Michael and Riley were sitting in separate rooms of the police department, separate interrogation rooms, hopefully telling the same exact story. Neither of them wanted to admit that they accidentally killed their friend Molly. It was an accident, after all. Why wouldn't the police believe them? Either way, both agreed to come up with a story that put the full blame on Molly. In interrogation room 1, Michael began recounting the events from his perspective to the detective staring at him. It started as a normal day. We were hanging out at the old mines, just having a bit of fun, Michael said while attempting to adjust himself in the seat. Are you okay, son? I promise this will be over quickly if you just tell me the truth. The detective wrote something in his notebook and continued to stare at Michael. From what I've gathered so far, it seems that Molly tripped and fell into the sludge in the mine. Is that correct? Michael shifted uncomfortably in his chair and nodded his head. Yes and no only, son. No nods. The detective developed a frown on his face as he jotted down more notes. Yes, sir. Molly tripped and fell. In interrogation room 2, Riley wasn't having such a great time with his detective. Now 5 minutes ago you told me she tripped, and now you're saying she missed a jump? Which the hell is it, kid? The detective slammed his fist on the desk, causing Riley to jump back in panic. She jumped. That's exactly what happened. She tried to jump across a ledge with us and missed. Riley rubbed his arms, feeling an eerie chill run through him. The detective smiled and closed his notebook. I'm going to go to the other room and talk with the other detective. So long as everything matches up, you'll both go home. Riley nods as the detective walks out. Riley throws his head back and begins to recount in his head the events that happened earlier. Molly, come on, Michael yelled from the entrance of the mine. Riley strode past him, chuckling as Molly cautiously came forward. I don't know about this, guys. We were explicitly told to avoid the mines. Shut up with that horse shit, Molly. Nothing fun ever happens when we listen. Riley cackled as he said this and continued inside. Well, I guess it'll be okay for a little bit. Molly rubbed her arm and slowly started forward into the mine. The mine had been abandoned for the last 30 years due to a freak accident that happened to a handful of workers. No one ever wanted to seem to talk about it, and the only information that people could find out is something about a strange tar-like substance. The group went to the first massive hole and stared out into it. I dare you to jump down there, Riley, Michael said while giggling. Hell no, you can't even see the bottom. Riley stared down the hole, shining his phone to look at what was down there. Molly stood behind the boys, trying her best to find a way out of this situation. Roughly an hour had passed with the boys cutting up and Molly keeping to herself when Molly said, I think it's starting to get dark out. We should go home before our parents worry. Michael stared at Riley with a devilish grin and then looked back at Molly. We'll go back. When you show us what you're hiding. Molly stepped back with shock as Michael inched closer. Hey dude, that isn't cool, Riley said while grabbing Michael's arm. Hey, fuck off! Michael pushed Riley away as Molly took it as a chance to escape. Look at what you did, idiot. Now she's going to tell her parents what I was going to do. After her! Both Michael and Riley took off in separate directions, attempting to cut Molly off. Both eventually cornered Molly up against the edge of the hole and started to close in on her. Please just let me go. I won't tell anyone what happened. We can all just leave here together like nothing happened. Molly took another step back and felt her foot leave the edge. Riley quickly grabbed her and held her in place. Riley, please don't let go of me. I'm scared. Michael inched slowly closer and threw a hand on Riley's shoulder. If you let this whore escape, she's going to ruin your life. You'll lose that full ride to college you already have lined up. Riley stood there for a moment, seeming to contemplate this, and then smiled. You're right, Michael. I can't have that happen. Goodbye, Molly. Riley releases his hand and Molly begins to scream as she falls into the dark abyss. Both stand there for a moment, contemplating what just happened. Hurry and call the police, Riley. We need to get our story straight when the police come. She tripped and fell down there.
Riley looked at the ceiling in horror as he realized that he told the detective the wrong information. He broke out in a cold sweat when the door opened back up. "Come with me." The detective motioned for Riley to follow him out of the room. Riley got back up cautiously and followed the detective to the other room. Michael was sitting on a couch in the corner and got up when he saw Riley. "Sit down, both of you." Michael quickly sat back down and Riley went over and joined him. "We know both of you are lying, so tell us the damn truth." Michael and Riley looked at each other in horror as they realized the gig was up. "Well, if you won't tell me the truth, maybe we'll bring someone in who knows the truth." Both look at the door as a new person enters the room. The man standing before them carried a cane and wore a top hat. He smiled a wicked smile, revealing a set of golden teeth. "Hello, boys. My name is Mr. Krill." He sat down and gripped the top of his cane that had a black skull on it. "Now, I know you are curious as to how I'd know what went on in there, but let's just say I got it from a reliable source." He chuckles slightly as he starts having a coughing fit. He quickly grabs a handkerchief and coughs into it. He looks at what comes out with disgust and tosses it to the side. Riley notices the cloth has what looks like black sludge on it. "Now, as I was saying, I got the story from the source. Would you come in here, Molly?" The boys look in horror as Molly slowly walks into the room. "Molly, you are okay?" Michael said in abject horror as he stared at Molly. Regardless of how she looked, something felt completely wrong about her. She felt cold and dangerous. "Molly, dear, I know you have an interesting story to tell, but be a sweetheart and exterminate everyone for me. I'll be waiting outside for you." Mr. Krill gets back up and walks out the door. The door closes behind him and locks tightly. Molly's head snaps back with a loud crunch as the boys cower in fear. "Come on, Molly, we were only joking." Before Michael can finish his sentence, his head is cleaved off his shoulders by what appears to be an axe that is formed on Molly's hand. Riley cowers back into a corner, covered in his own piss and Michael's blood, as he watches Molly continue to change. Both of her arms were replaced with axe-like appendages as the tail she grew started to wrap around Riley. Her face stretched to that of a dog, and she began to open her mouth. Her teeth were replaced with thousands of razor-sharp fangs as her tongue licked Riley's face. Riley quivered in fear as he felt one of the axes placed against his neck. "Please don't, Molly. I'm so sorry." Molly smiles as she cleaves Riley's head from his body and begins to dine on what remains. Mr. Krill is standing outside the room, listening to the horror go on as one of his associates approaches him. The matter inside the cave seems to match that of what we've been looking for. It has the same properties of the asteroid. We've collected as much as we can and we're taking it back. Mr. Krill smiles at this and grips his cane tighter. "Good. I'm looking forward to how this will change the exhibition for the better." Thank you for joining me today. Did today's story shock you? Wow you? I don't know. What did it do to you? Tell me. I want to know. Join me again next week where I will tell you another story. But I need your help. Give me a word. Any word. One word. And I will find the perfect story for you. If you've enjoyed this story today, please remember to like, subscribe, and share amongst your friends. Bring everybody to the Mystery Emporium. But be careful, because you may be next.